Serious. What do you think is the creepiest, most disturbing unsolved mystery ever? The Cleveland torso murderer. From 1935 to 1938, there was a serial killer who chopped off the heads and appendages of 12 to 20 people and left their torsos for people to find. The famous detective Elliot Ness was on the case, and the killer taunted him by leaving 2 torsos within full view of his office. The killer was never identified, nor were the majority of the victims. Honestly, the Cape intruder isn't disturbing, just weird as hell. During the night in Cape, Maine in like 2005, people who kept their doors unlocked would wake up to find a man staring at them and he would quickly flee. No people were ever injured and nothing was ever stolen. They just watched people sleep apparently. The Axeman of New Orleans guy was murdering people but wrote a letter that he wouldn't kill anyone who played jazz in their home. Never caught. Someone said that the police could have all hid in one house not playing jazz music and catch him that way. The West Mesa bone collector. The bones of dozens of women were found at a construction site, no other clues. The Setagaya family murder. Late on the night of December 30, 2000 in Setagaya, Tokyo, a man broke into the house of a family of 4, strangled the son in his bed, stabbed the father, and brutally killed the mother and daughter. The killer then spent hours in the house eating their food, using their toilet, and going through their paperwork like he owned the place, and eventually left, never to be found since. The Hinterkaifeck murders always freaked me out. I've read quite a bit about it, and it sounds like it was probably a neighbor. But the creepy part is that the killer was probably hiding out in the attic for multiple days beforehand. I read about this for the first time when I went on a multi-night hiking trip. I stayed in cabins. The first night, there was a loft above where we were sleeping. I stared at it all night. Edit. Adding a really good write-up on our unresolved mysteries. It has way more information than the Wikipedia page. Read this a while back and just remembered about it. The disappearance of Brandon Swanson. It's a lengthy case so I won't summarize here, but he went missing while on the phone with his parents, his last known words being in quote, "Oh shit," in quote, before the line went dead. Not a trace of him has ever been found. Edit. Lol what? I go away from Reddit for a few hours and I come back to up votes and awards? Y'all are too kind. Thanks. Technically not unsolved since everyone can guess what happened to her, but it's one of the creepiest emo. Alyssa Turney was a teenager who disappeared in 2001. Her stepfather, Michael Turney, was obsessed with her. He stalked her at work, put cameras in the vents to spy on her and made her sign in quote, contracts to say he never molested her. Michael picked her up from school early on May 17, 2001 and she's never been seen since. Her half-sister, Sarah Turney, has an amazing podcast called Voices for Justice which explains the case in detail, and because of her Michael Turney was arrested in August 2020. The death of Rebecca Zahow has stuck with me. Zahow's nude body was found hanging from a balcony, with her wrists and ankles bound and hands behind her back. Her death was ruled a suicide. As if that wasn't strange enough, 2 days prior to her death, the 6-year-old son of her boyfriend fell down a staircase and died. His death was ruled an accident. There's a lot to read about this case, and I highly recommend it if you're into true crime. What happened to Pedro Lopez? He is one of the most prolific serial killers in history, and claims to have murdered over 350 women and girls. Since his release in 1998, his whereabouts are currently linked. I can't remember his name. But there was a case of a college-age young man, Brian I think is his first name, who was reported missing after a night out. There's security camera footage of him entering a bar, but absolutely no footage of him leaving. Like he went into the bar and just flat out dropped off the face of the earth. The last I knew, he's never been found and nobody knows what happened to him. ETA. Brian Schaefer, who went missing from Columbus, Ohio. Thanks, Reddit. Also ETA, since it keeps coming up. The bar was on a second floor at that time with only one public entrance, exit. The police extensively reviewed all the security camera footage. Brian and everyone else who was there that night was seen on camera entering the bar. Everyone, except for Brian, who was at the bar that night, was seen on camera leaving the bar. Which would nix any theories that he left wearing different clothes, disguised as someone else, mixed in with a crowd. Brian Schaefer. And with the bar now closed and torn down, it's going to be difficult to ever solve this one. Yes, that's him. But yeah, this one has always weirded me out that he literally disappeared without a trace. And from a crowded bar, under such strange circumstances. There's a similar one in the UK. A guy called Corey McKeague. After going out drinking with friends, he became separated. There's CCTV of him walking into a dead end which had several large wheelie bins, dumpsters. It's thought he fell asleep in one of the dumpsters and was accidentally lifted into the bin lorry. Despite a huge search of landfill and tracing his mobile, his body has not been found, and he is now presumed Link. I'm trying to comprehend drinking enough to hop into a trash can and sleep in it. I read somewhere that it was a fairly common thing for him to do. I go to Ohio State. The gossip theory is that he fell out of an unsecure door in the bar. You see, the first location of Ugly Tuna, the bar, was on a second-story building. This building was undergoing construction. The main doors had cameras, the fake construction doors did not. He must have fell out of a second-story construction door. There was a cover-up, because the family would have sued for tons of money. That's the whispered theory. There's no footage because there is footage of the real doors that led to flooring, and no footage of the fake construction doors led to a two-story drop-off of a construction site. I've explained it poorly, but I hope there's some clarity. Edit. I'm under the influence. Do not listen to anything I say.